Hi everyone, it's whiteboard time where we're going to be doing the Norwich preview. We're going to have a look at Norwich, which is the team behind me. We'll have a little talk about Norwich City and then we'll have a look at Newcastle in just a minute. So looking at Norwich's last 6 games, what we normally do is look at their form guides. Let's have a look. So pretty impressive if you look at them results there. The walloped Forest 5-1, and if you've seen the goals from that game, Howson and Houlihan score a couple of worldies. In particular, Howson's volley was magnificent, absolutely magnificent. They picked up a point away from Wigan, drawn 2-2. They beat Cardiff also away from 1-0. Beat Birmingham 2-0 at home, and they also beat Wolves. Well, we've just played Wolves and beat them. They beat Wolves 3-1 at home, and they suffered the FA Cup defeat against Southampton, which is a Premier League side, so it's not the worst result in the world, you know. So the last 6 games, they won 4, drew 1, lost 1. Scored an impressive 13 goals. They conceded 5 in them 6 games, and you've got to consider that they picked up a whopping 13 points out of 15 in the last 5 games, so they're on red hot form. We'll come on to that in a minute. They're 7th in the league now. When we played them last time, St James's Park, we're 3-1 down with a few minutes to go, and then we end up winning dramatically 4-3. I remember that day, I put a pound bet on because I had a couple of bets on, but I had a pound spare. Thought I'm going to chuck it on 4-3. And if you guys have seen the matchday experience, I'm shouting, "I've got a 4-3! I've got a 4-3!" And we won the game. And since then, it was like the downfall of Norwich. Norwich just went on this spiral of games where they just kept losing. There was something like 8 or 9 games where they couldn't get a win and they just dropped to mid-table. Alex Neil was under a lot of pressure, and now they're back on form. They're a couple of points off 6th position, I believe, but they have played an extra game more than Sheffield Wednesday. So they need to keep winning. But up against Newcastle, ourselves, unbeaten 5 in the league. Let's have a look at their lineup on the weekend where they won 5-1, and I think that they'll keep it the same. You know, I'd be very surprised if Alex Neil changes this unless it's because of injury. So you went with Ruddy in goal, Pinto was right back, it was Martin and Klostar in the middle, left back was Dykes, because obviously Olsen's been sold to Swansea. Howson and Malumba will sit in the front of the defence. Murphy, Pritchard and Houlihan will play as a 3, just by supporting Oliveira. Now, players to watch out for as well. That man Oliveira, he's in red hot form. He's got 9 goals so far this season, but a lot of them have come the last 6 weeks. Cameron Jerome will probably be on the bench. He's got 8, so expect him. He scored against us. Beautiful curl at St James's Park. And also Murphy, he scored on the weekend, so he'll be back in form. And Wes Houlihan's always a talent as well. Let's have a look. I've got Norwich behind us, so it's quite. I'm just going to get out of the way. It's quite similar to how Newcastle line up, isn't it? This is how Norwich normally line up. So what they'll do, being the home side, is what they tend to do is the bomb on the fullbacks on both flanks. So that allows the likes of Houlihan. Now Wes Houlihan, it's a bit of a false position this, because Wes Houlihan, you think he plays left in field, he doesn't though. It's very, very false, that position, because what you do, you'll come inwards and it's sort of like pack this kind of area. It gets packed because Murphy will come in as well. Murphy's very, very tricky. Paul Dummett's going to have to watch out for him because he can go that way and that way, and he's got a few goals this season as well. Now Pritchard, we were actually rumoured to be after Pritchard. Remember at the start of the season. So obviously they've signed him from Tottenham, so he likes a shot. He likes to have a pop shot as well. And this guy, give him service. He's on fire at the minute, Oliveira, whether it's coming in from the flanks, whether it's to feet, he can score from long range. Headers, I've seen a few different kind of goals that Oliveira has scored so far this season, so he's got to be one to watch. Where's Houlihan and Murphy for me? They're the main 3. Now Johnny Howson, obviously he'll be in support of these if needs to be, but he'll only go forward if he needs to be. You'll not just bomb on all the time. I know he scored a great goal on the volley, but he'll sit in front of the defence, but he will make forward. Malumba won't. Malumba will just sit there and do kind of like what Jack Colback does for us. You'll just pick up the scraps, get in a snap challenge and pass it. Simple. You'll just pass it and you'll just sit there, kind of like the Makelele role or the Kanté role, what it's called now. So you expect them to bomb on, which will make it look like that you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in attack. It's a very dangerous game, very dangerous side as well. They're on fire at the minute, and obviously these guys coming up from corners. This man in particular, he scored against us in the Premier League when we got beat off Carrow Road 3-2, so he'll be a threat set pieces. So they've got a multiple different kind of systems that they can play. It's very similar to Newcastle, as I've mentioned, but they've got fullbacks on both sides. And then you've got these 3 can interchange. You not see these stay in the position. You can see these might swap. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's very going to be interesting how Newcastle are going to cope with all of this. But of course, Norwich are playing Newcastle. How are Norwich going to cope with the likes of Shelby? How are they going to cope with Dwight Gale if he's possibly back? Matt Ritchie's on fire at the moment. Yedlin bombing on that right flank. How are they going to cope? Let's get on to Newcastle. Okie dokie. So, Newcastle behind us. Let's get out of the way and run you through it then. So, Carl Darlow continue and goal. Yedlin bombing on from right back. Lascelles and Clark were absolutely outstanding on the weekend. Dummett to continue at left back. I think Hayden will come in this time around. I'd be very surprised if he goes for Colback. Although Colback defensively done all right against obviously Wolves, but going forward he didn't really offer much, which Newcastle struggled. John Joe Shelby picks himself. Atsu, I would like to say, coming at left wing. I'd like to say Atsu come in here. Diame, I'd be very surprised if he goes for Perez away from home. Very surprised. I'll be I'll be taken a little bit back by it. Richie on the right flank and Gale up top as well. So we play a similar formation to what Norwich did. Now, if it was Gouffran, I would have Gouffran round about there rather than, because Atsu, I don't think Atsu suits the just behind Gale, the three behind Gale, and obviously Dwight Gale, as I mentioned. I think if Gale Gale starts, he start. If Gale's fit, he starts. I was trying to get my words out. Right, so let's have a look then. Right, so obviously Norwich play a very similar system to what we do. So this man, he needs to bomb on, because last game out, all the attack from Wolves was coming down the left flank, predominantly down the left flank, and Yedlin couldn't get forward at all, which caused Newcastle problems on the right width because Richie was isolated, Yedlin couldn't get forward, was struggled big time, so Wolves done the homework on with. So this time around, hopefully tactics play our way, we can get Yedlin bombing on. Richie, as you can see here, tucked in a little bit, he doesn't play so far out, he'll come as like a right attacking midfielder, if that makes sense, rather than the right winger. So we know Richie, what he'll do, he'll buzz about, he'll be a little bit all over. Anywhere in this position, Richie will be. On the other flank, though, this is why I've gone for Atsu, push further out, because Dummett cannot get forward. He hasn't got the legs. I know people say, well, why don't you play Lazar? It's risky when you're playing away from home, playing Lazar. So for me, I would like to say Atsu come in. I know Gouffran's a workaholic and he works a lot harder than Atsu, but Gouffran was disappointing on the weekend. He didn't offer anything going forward. So for me, a bit of spark, a bit of pace, a bit of directness. Atsu, just let him be. Just let him be. Let him run. Let him run at the right back, which will be Pinto. Let him run at him. Just, there you go, Atsu. That's you. Go and run at your man. I think that's one tactic we could use. We know this man, John Joe Shelby, will sit just in front of the defence. He doesn't, when he picks the ball up very deep, he likes to then spray it to whoever, whether it's a short pass, whether it's a long one. But for me, in this game, you don't have to worry about Shelby getting forward too much. I think you've got to ask the people in front of him to do the running a lot more. At home, I want Shelby, as soon as he's passed it, a bomb on. But because we're away from home, let's just play a little bit more safer. We're up against a big side, a big quality side in Norwich City, you know. So Shelby, as soon as he passes the ball, let's say some runners. Let's say Yedlin bombing on. Let's say Richie movement. Let's say Atsu directly just needs to pass a shot. Atsu and you'll run at him. But I want a bit of pace, a bit of counter-attack, because we didn't have it against Wolves, so we really didn't. I'll be very, very, like I mentioned with Perez, if he starts Perez, because Perez's link-up play is awful. It's really poor. Diame, people criticise Diame, but his link-up play is a lot better than what Perez is. So the ball comes to feet. For me, I'm worried about Perez. I always am away from home when he has the ball to feet, because he does all this fancy flicky, getting knocked over. Diame, although he's not. It depends when he turns up, isn't it? But if Diame is on form and Perez is on form, I'd rather have Diame every time for me. So Diame can get forward. He can be that link, and you know. This man, if needs to be, I wouldn't play Jack Colback. I know I've already said positionally he was brilliant against Wolves. Defensively, positionally, I mean, because Wolves couldn't go through the middle. They had to keep going out wide. So for me, I would like to see Hayden come in this time round. Not because Colback's had a bad game, because Hayden offers a little bit more going forward. I think Newcastle are going to need to score in this game to get anything from it. I think Norwich will score against them. So, yeah, Dwight Gale, if he's fit, he plays. Simple as that. We know what Gale can do. We know that he likes to spin off. We know that he likes the ball over the top. He can have it at feet. He can also, but he loves the fox in the box, which is why important. I think that crosses from Yedlin, Richie and Atsu are so important, and obviously free kicks from Shelby as well. In all honesty, I'll be delighted with a draw. I'll be really, really truthful with you. I'll take a point if you offer it right now. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw on tomorrow night. Let me know what you think of the score predictions. how we line up, how did Norwich line up. Norwich fans, of course, get your comments down there below if you're a Norwich fan as well. See you later.